Welcome to the TeamLease EdTech webinar on our recently published report of self-funded learning, a signal for institutional innovation. Today, we have Professor Rohit Dwivedi, who is the Professor and Chairperson of MDP at IIM Shillong, and Professor Rajat Agrawal, HOD, Department of Management Studies at IIT Roorkee. Welcome, Rohitji. Welcome, Rajat.
Please. Thank you very much.
Good morning.
So, just as a background to kind of open up the conversation, one of the things that the research threw up is that self-funded learning is rising. About 46% of the professionals mentioned that they pay for their own upskilling, trying to signal their own autonomy and their unmet needs. So they're not relying necessarily on their organization sponsoring it. The other key highlight that came up is that upskilling definitely leads to a career growth. So we saw a direct correlation. Two key benefits that came up was that two-thirds of the audience saw a direct benefit in their annual appraisal, and nearly 50% got their hikes or promotions within 18 months of completing their self-funded learning. The third thing that came out was that timing matters. Most professionals upskill just before their appraisals, giving a signaling value and also highlighting a demand for timely and outcome-linked learning. The fourth key phenomena that we saw is that degrees still matter, but they need a lot of flexibility. Most professionals trust long-form education, but expect modular and adaptable formats. And finally, the fifth key finding that came out is that the short form and micro learning are gaining ground. So we are looking at a spectrum of where they want degrees, but they also want experiential micro learning, and they prefer short role relevant programs, especially in areas like technology, finance, and sales, which are long moving. But to summarize, I mean, institutions can lead lifelong learning. There's an opportunity to be flexible, create stackable programs, micro credentials, multiple entry exits, and support ongoing career growth. Both of you work very deeply into this area with a lot of young career professionals and late career professionals as well. I'd like to invite some of your opening thoughts. Let's start with you, Rohitji.
Yeah, please. Well, I look at the insight which comes out of your report. Say those critical numbers self-fund their own learning as a positive move, because that is something which I would like to term as an attitudinal shift which is taking place. They say I need to take responsibility of my own learning, and in order to do that, I make a commitment, and that commitment gets ensured with the amount which one pays in order to learn. So it's a positive shift at a national level, where education does not need to just be all around, where the learner is not interested and does not follow the right attitude. So it's a good move which I feel is happening, especially at a time where the nature of learning which has to happen has to be more autonomous, where nobody will be able to direct anyone else, either intergenerationally or professionally at a peer level. They say, go there, learn that, go to this institute and get this done. The individual needs to know what he or she wants and where could one get it from. So it's a move, given the shifts which you are observing in technology, where maybe the kind of institutions, brick and mortar institutions, and teachers like me who man those brick and mortar institutions are maybe no longer needed. Uh, so it's a positive move. That's what my position is. Yeah.
Thank you, Rohitji. Rajatji, your thoughts, please.
So, Jaideep ji, being into higher education since last 25 years, I also feel that after this advent of AI, lot of new changes are coming. And as you already mentioned in your opening remark, the report which is coming up, that around 50% of the learners are ready to do self-funding for their upskilling and how it is related to their appraisals and all those. because the new skills which are becoming part of our daily routine, they are very important for corporate life as well as for our personal survival and growth. And therefore, I see whenever we want to change our trajectory, if I work in a particular profile, I want to change the profile. I do not want support of my existing organization. And therefore, this self-funding learning is increasing. I can tell you very interesting thing that we run executive MBA program where only working professionals are allowed to participate. And most of the learners, students ask us that we should remove the condition of NOC for admission because they are saying that they are self-funding their education and they do not want to reveal it to their employer that they are going for any kind of upgradation of their skills or upgradation of their degrees. So therefore, this trend is towards better opportunities. And as an institution, I feel that if this trend keeps on like that way, there is a high requirement of institutional innovation. Because what will happen right now, IIMs and IITs are enjoying a very high reputation. But over a period of time, relevance will become more important than reputation. And when relevance will become more important, learners will start going to those programs where they get practical skills with immediate value. And if it comes even from a lower known institutions also, but if it is fulfilling their immediate requirement, they will start going to those institutions. So therefore, if I say top 100 NIRF institutions in our country, it is very important for them that how they remain relevance with reputation. And a lot of institutional innovations will be required for that purpose. Then a lot of issues will be related to modular and micro credential activities. You need to have, because when I'm coming for self-funding courses, the size of the course must be very small so that it can attract self-funding. If you are going for a bigger courses, maybe the cost of the course will be higher and then it will not attract the self-funding. So those things are also going to be the part of institutional innovations that how, if this trend is going to be there, how we capitalize this trend, that requires a lot of innovations from the institution side.
Got it. Rajatji, thank you. Very interesting comment about relevance versus reputation. I'll come back to that in a little bit. Rohitji, I wanted to delve a little deeper into the attitudinal shift. Rajatji also spoke about increasing phenomena where students are saying that remove the need for NOC because they want to keep it to themselves till they're ready to disclose it to the organization and larger world. Apart from self-funding and trying to take charge of their own career destiny, what are the other phenomena that you would have noticed in the working professional group who are trying to acquire higher education, either a certificate program or an MDP or a degree program? What is driving their thinking? What are the motivating factors that you would have noticed?
Right. Well, very recently, we did this research, which is getting published by NIEPA, which is part of the, along with the NCERT institution, which focuses on higher education context. So there's this separate chapter which is coming up where we did this survey across all these people who have signed up for certificate programs across different institutions, only to understand what is their motivational structure, why do they do it, and what kind of impact they able to experience with those micro credits certificate courses. What we saw there was that these are people who are, they know what is it that they need to learn in order to stay relevant in the industry. So they open to whatever present day job domain is and where the industry may expect them to deliver. And they're self-aware, they're more responsible, they're responsible because it's not just about the money which they would pay from their own pocket, where their employers or the government is not subsidizing and the employees are not paying back for earning these microcredits. They're responsible because they're over and above the financial decision. They're investing that much of time in their daily routine. So they're doing the weekend classes. They're sitting in front of the gadgets. They're not only attending sessions, but they're also completing their assignments.
Hmm.
So they're more responsible. They're able to understand that this much percentage of my daily time needs to go in self learning growth. I need to connect with my peer group. I need to complete my assignment. And so there is this, which also means that they're self directed.
Right.
So they know which direction they're going. So if there's somebody who's maybe picked up a beautiful course on mathematical finance, also understands that one needs to pursue music, and they are able to blend what Professor Agrawal also mentioned. The older institutions and institutions of the brick and mortar types could not fathom the combinations why and when they would be needed. So they're
Right.
blurring these subject disciplinary boundaries, which is beautiful.
Right. Thank you. Rajatji, opening comment, you spoke about AI, and this has kind of become well entrenched over the last 2.5 years now. It's literally on every device in your palm. These apps have made it to the home screen of most of the people, and it's very fast replacing some of the traditional search engines that we know of, and people are kind of finding different utilities for AI-driven apps. How is it that this is impacting higher education, career development, and also, more importantly, faculty engagement?
Yes, so at all levels, whether it is a faculty, whether it is intermediaries like TeamLease, or it is a learner, AI is impacting all of us, and but in a different ways. For example, uh, I used to develop a course for which a lot of time is required for recording purpose and after recording post-production activities. So typically developing a content of 10 hours, I used to spend about 30 to 40 hours. So that was before AI came into picture. Now what is happening? AI is taking my voice samples. I just need to prepare the script, and AI is going to create an entire course for me in my own voice. So it saves a lot of time for those work which is not so much value adding work. Because as a professor, as a faculty, I have to spend more time on creating the content, on
Right.
creating those script. I can devote more time for that work. I can create more creative assignments, more creative engagements for the learners, rather putting my time into the recording activities. So AI has me in replacing those kind of mundane work
Hmm.
for giving me time for more work which can be meaningful to my role. Similarly, the AI is also helping a student for getting more customized content as per the requirement. So he is also making it possible that the content is affordable and it is more personalized. So it is creating a win-win situation for faculty as well as a learner. And therefore, you see that this self-learning trend is also increasing. That how informal learning is recognized. Otherwise, we only recognize those activities, those learnings which are coming from a formal setup. So many democratized sources. It is a good indicator that now we have multiple options for getting the learnings. So AI is helping all the stakeholders in this ecosystem of online education, learning through self-funding. resources.
Excellent. And I think that's a very good perspective that it opens up avenues to go beyond the traditional content and form, and you can have more of a qualitative discussion. Professor Dwivedi, I want to talk about, and this is going to be a common discussion between both of you. Rajat ji spoke about relevance versus reputation. What are your thoughts about this, Professor Dwivedi, when students are looking at institutions to acquire certifications or degrees? What do they weigh more, relevance or reputation, or is it a combination?
So one can look at it in terms of the timelines, and that timeline is a timeline which, of course, should be historical now. Is a relevance where institutional reputation had to do with the brick and mortar. So, which part of the world, how old the institution is, and that added to the reputation of the institution, and of course, people would get attracted. We are still in the process. We are switching over to non-brick and mortar virtual, hyper reality institutions, where institutions could be deep inside metaverse, for that matter. This is a phase where we are in, is a transition phase where this definition both of the reputation as well as relevance will have to change, and that has to change. Why? Because AI is taking over. Yes, we are not very confident of the content and its hallucinations and errors which are creeping in, but we've got to accept the fact that it has reached a level where it could process, regenerate, and produce the kind of output which Professor Agrawal was mentioning. So maybe the script is no longer needed. Maybe the AI will be able to get a better script than any one of us. And yes, voice modulation and copying is certainly much better. Imagine a situation, maybe sounds fiction, but that is what is going to define where and when teachers and brick and mortar institutions would be required. You say, imagine Einstein coming back in a conversation with Tagore, and this conversation is being moderated by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam.
Beautiful.
Imagine the content which is going to get created then. And it's not going to be a fictitious script which is going to get created. The lineage of ideas and the intellect, it is very much possible to get that recreated. That Tagore will remain Tagore and engage in a conversation with Einstein where Dr. Kalam would moderate that. Say, what will be the need of any school teacher or a university professor anywhere in the world? You say, and that is where we are more challenged than this generation. This generation is blessed with that opportunity. What we are challenged with is to seek the relevance both of our content, what I deliver and how I deliver it. Do I still need to rely on the lecture method, or is it possible that there is no transfer of information which is taking place at all? It's the questions of the audience which is going to trigger what's going to get generated in the discussion. So it's a different format altogether, which all of us will need to sit down and figure out what's going to be more relevant and needed for this generation, which is blessed with the technology and this technology, the potential which this technology.
Right. Thank you. Professor Agrawal, you spoke about industry partners like TeamLease EdTech. And in this growing mix of a lot of programs available across a lot of institutions for different career outcomes, What role do you think industry partners like TeamLease EdTech have to play, and what is the value from your perspective that they bring to the table?
Yeah, so there is a phrase which is very popular these days, that is democratization of education.
Right.
And probably that is the biggest role partners like TeamLease can do, because you are not operating within the boundaries. You can go to sub-Saharan, you can go to Latin American countries, you can go to European nations, you can go everywhere. And you can create a bigger funnel from where you can source millions of students. And they will also get quality education. Um, if I talk only for India, you can go to those remote areas where students even do not know that what is IIT, what is IIM.
Mm.
So reaching to those people, making them accessible to the good quality content, that is, I think, is the biggest role which companies like Teamless can do. And when they create affordable platforms, that is even more important, because the democratization will only happen when it is affordable to all the segment of the society. I do not know what is the pricing model you have, but if you can have a differential pricing model, for example, a learner coming from a high income country can be priced differently, and a learner which is coming from low income country or middle income country can be priced differently. Probably that will be the real model or real, you can say, value to the variety of learners to help them getting quality education.
Right. No, thank you. You spoke beautifully about affordability and enabling access. Professor Dwivedi, I'd like to pick your mind about curation and the counseling element of it. When it comes to self-funded, obviously the intent to improve one's academic credentials, knowledge, and credentials is there, and there is a higher degree of commitment. But it also produces another set of problem. For example, if a corporate were to select a program, the corporate selects a program from a very narrow perspective that, okay, I need professionals in this area, in this domain, and therefore I'm going to send a cohort of 50 for this program. But when it comes to an individual self-funded, it could open up a very wide range of this thing. And how do you think industry partners who may not have a direct career engagement with the professional can assist in the entire curation of the program and counseling, helping these professionals make the right pick of the program and the academic part?
Perfect. And I feel what, extending what Professor Agrawal also mentioned. So it's about reaching out to the masses and ensuring that they have access to quality content, and affordability thus becomes very, very important. On the other hand, the point which you're making is maybe ensuring that there is certain amount of content, amount as well as nature of content which is made available free to
Mm.
anybody and everybody. And that content needs to come from people who are able to see the kind of skills and competencies which may be needed in the future.
Got
So
it.
let there be a tiny little capsule made available for free to everybody. And these tiny little capsules, the content need to come from people who are just at the cusp, either technology or management or any other domain. They say that is going to evolve. So start looking at it
Got it.
so that these learners, and I'm assuming these learners are younger, could also get a view of what's going to come. And that needs to come straight from people who are inside laboratories, inside high-tech research stations, where there's envisaging what's going to happen when blockchain is going to converge with nanotechnology, with AI. So what's going to happen when technology is going to get ubiquitous? So that kind of content needs to be made available free of cost for anybody and everybody, just to get a view of how things may shape in the future. That's important.
That's actually a very interesting thought, and I think we can work on that. But a beautiful thought over there. That actually brings me to the last part before I seek your closing comments, or maybe we could do it together. I'd like you to share one or maybe two pieces of advice for these young professionals, along with your closing comments. We'll start with you, Professor Dwivedi, and then we'll wrap it up with Professor Agrawal.
Um, and this is what I tell all my students inside the class, and I would repeat the same. They say these young learners know what they need to learn.
Right.
It's a problem of the faculty inside the class who is not only myopic but is also cocooned with the subject disciplinary rigid boundaries which we've inherited. The job and the responsibility to merge which of those two domains, three domains, five domains will converge for what benefit rests entirely up to this learner who's younger, who's smarter, and knows what's going to create the future for them, not for us. So they need to take this responsibility, because the present day instructors and teachers are too straitjacketed with their own disciplinary boundaries.
Thank you so much. That's actually more thought-provoking, Professor Devedi. Professor Agrawal.
So, my closing comment to this discussion is that, as Professor Dwivedi was also mentioning, that learners are quite aware these days. And it is very important that we need to continuously make a portfolio of our learning requirements, so that we are very clear that how we want to stake up all these diploma courses or informal courses, so that they become a big basket, a bouquet, which can be used to the best advantage. And then you create a learning routine also, which requires a lot of self-discipline. Unfortunately, I see, being into IIT setup, that this discipline aspect at the higher education is slightly missing. So when we want to go for lifelong learning, self-discipline is also very, very important. Creating a learning network where you not only engage with your routine students, routine uh, peers, but also through various informal channels, where a lot of media channels are also helping us to create a learning network, so that you understand that what are the new skills, what are the new options are available. Uh, Even as a faculty now, after 25 years into the higher education, I also feel some challenges, because when I was a student, AI was not there. When I was a student, a lot of statistical packages were not available. So I also need to be updated at this moment, so that I remain relevant. The same applies to a younger learner also, that we need to create a learning path for all of us. And in that learning path, sometime your organization will support you, and sometime you have to support from your own pocket. So it has to be a mix. I will not say that always you need to go for self-funding, but it can be a mix of organizational supported learning plus your own investment into the learning. Ultimately, whatever you are investing, it is going to give you returns in the form of leadership positions, promotions, as you already mentioned in the opening remark, better appraisal reports, and benefits associated with that. So, investment into learning is a very good investment, which is going to give you lifelong returns. That is the last advice to all the youngsters.
Fantastic. That brings us to the close of the session. Right from the opening comments by Professor Dwivedi, that professionals are starting to take control of their careers and making a commitment through self-funded learning, to the closing comments by Professor Agrawal that you need to invest in a learning network and pursue lifelong learning. It was a fantastic conversation with both of you. Every word was a pearl of wisdom. I'm sure the audiences will enjoy listening to this. Thank you so much again this morning.
Thank you very
Please.
much.
Thank you
Pleasure.
very much for the opportunity. Please.
Thank you so much. Fantastic conversation. I'm so glad that we could keep it nice and tight.
Please.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Serves the purpose.
So,
Yep.
see you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Same to you. Please.
Bye.